The oligarchs first became aware of me in 1987, early 1987. It was in 1988 or 1989 when this incident happened. I was walking along the high street in Exeter, and my truncheon was drawn to my right, and as I looked right, I seen a young woman. She'd be about 19 or 20. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, fair complexion, and she had a full body, a woman's body. I kept on looking at her because the expression on her face wasn't natural, wasn't normal. It reminded me of a baby's face. It was completely blank, without expression. And it was that which kept my attention on her for about 3-4 seconds. And I realised that she wasn't of a mental maturity that would allow her to do things, normal things, be out and about on her own. And I looked around her to see who it was she was with, and that's when this bloke entered the scene. And the thing was, he was looking at me continually. He didn't take his eyes off me, and he had this smug smile on his face. He was about 5'8", 5'9", portly, wasn't particularly well dressed, looked like he could have been on his way from a job in a factory. Wasn't dirty, but it wasn't noticeably well kept. Well, there are other features that could be mentioned, but we won't go into those. And he kept his eye fixed on me, and I was still looking at him and the girl, and he reached out and held her by the arm and pulled her away out of my vision to the right. And I wasn't sure what I just witnessed. I wasn't sure what I was looking at, been looking at. And I didn't think about it again for some years, when it started to become obvious that there were some nasty goings on in the world. I mean, really nasty stuff. Cannibalism and sacrificiality and wanton murder. And I recall thinking about it in one of those frames of mind, and I realised, I'd realised within a few years that there was a oligarch structure, and I was trying to fit it together, and bit by bit it did come together, and we got this system here whereby we got the original oligarch mentality, and this is how they hold control. Now this guy, he wasn't any of these, but he probably this one and this one. He had the gall. I mean, this is how sure they are of their position within society. This is a global setup, remember. They're so confident they can get away with anything that this guy brought this girl out into the open on a sunny day, early afternoon I think it was, and nobody would notice, as they didn't. She was standing there on a road. When I looked at her initially, there was nobody either side of her. She just stood there, fixed, blank looking. And I don't know if I was the only person that noticed, but certainly nobody went to ask her if she, nobody else was looking at her that I could see. And he got this smug smile on his face, which transmitted the air of arrogant deceit. It still sort of sticks in my mind now. Now, what this guy was doing with this girl is anybody's guess. It was obviously sexual. I mean, this guy just didn't look the part. He didn't. She and he were as far apart as chalk and cheese. I mean, she was good looking, nice complexion. This guy was ugly with a. Well, just. Oh well, I don't want to go into the details of this guy's physical makeup, but he wasn't the part that just you could see there was no way there was going to be a relationship and a normal set of circumstances between the two of them. So my assessment, and it's hard to, if you want to be generous, you could say, well, she might have fancied him. You don't know, but that's not the impression I got from what happened. So my guess is that this guy didn't have a personality to speak of. He certainly didn't have the looks, and he didn't have the physical makeup. I mean, he wasn't Adonis. He wasn't your typical body beautiful type. The opposite. So he's got this woman under mental control. I mean, if this sort of idea is the first time you've come across it, these ideas, it might be too much of a stretch for you to acknowledge or believe what's being said to you now is true. But you will come to be aware, you will come to know that this sort of thing is going on. Like the rest of us, any normal bloke wants to have a pretty woman on his arm, and this guy just wasn't that type of person. He just wasn't going to attract a decent woman. He was a slob. But he wants a decent woman, as we all do. We all want a nice, attractive woman and all the rest of it. And that's how that's typical of the sort of thing the oligarch will do. Can do, does do, to express their own natural inbuilt procreational drive. not sure what talents he would have that would make him a usable, unusable person for the oligarch structure to need within their ranks. We could imagine that I've come across a bloke once who could lay a person out just by touching them in their chest. Didn't have to hit them, he just had to pray. Some people know the physiology so well that they can do that. They can just tap you on your forehead or tap you on your chest and down you go unconscious. And there are people who can hypnotise people in a relatively easy way. They don't need apparatus, they don't need a quiet room. There are all sorts of under-the-counter type abilities that people possess, and you can bet your life that the oligarchs have got all the really useful people from their point of view within their ranks somewhere or other. Now he was just one of what must be thousands of people like him, and they, because they're part of the they're part of the assassination setup. They're not all. We'd have to break this assassination type entry here down, or split it up into categories. But anybody, although this is basically to bring your attention to the idea that there are people who get orders to kill people who are an obstacle one way or another to the oligarch structure. There are other people who might be able to do it in a way that doesn't draw public attention. You can do it in a way that makes the death seem natural. But anyway, this guy belonged to this setup. I am fairly sure. And they can have pretty whatever they want. I suspect that most of them have got out-the-way houses, because there are some really unsavoury practices going on in the oligarch structure. That's cannibalism, you better believe it. There'll be sexual sacrificiality. There's probably child sacrificiality. Anyway, the point being that in order to keep these guys happy, they need mucho's dollar. So we hear of oligarch this, oligarch that. There's more than one type of oligarch in the broader sense, although there'll be a small clique per country who take the decisions on a political level. And they all have this common denominator: they all need money to function. Now, you know about the arms trade and the drugs trade and the financial structure. There's a good little video there which gives you a sort of overview of how the oligarch structure came into being what kicked it all off, so to speak. And it's worth a look. Currently we hear on the TV that America supplies arms to one faction, and a little later they're supplying arms to another faction which is opposed to the ones that they initially supplied arms to. Now, although Obama is the president, he doesn't have any say in how arms are distributed, the illegal arms that is, are distributed. That will be done through the intelligence services, the secret services, and it wouldn't be fair to lay the blame of these factions getting arms from America at Obama's doorstep. Likewise with government policy, there's only so much you can do, and you'll hear the media, the mainstream media, say that the Obama administration done this or done that, or the White House implemented this or that policy. Many of the decisions that come out of America aren't directly from Obama. And you'll find, if you dig into it, that there are those who are in the payee of the oligarch structure, as in this country, Britain, who do and say whatever they're told to do and say if they want to keep on with their sweet, opulent lifestyle. Again, it's money. So bear in mind when you hear the mainstream media, reporters, newscasters telling you that they're in the same boat. They want a nice sweet life where they haven't got to worry about how much their rent costs or how much the electricity going to be this quarter. They want you know, a nice, easy, comfortable lifestyle, and most people will sell out and say and do whatever they're told to say and do by the oligarch structure. And those that don't, well, there's more than one way of skinning a rabbit, and they know all the ways that there are of skinning a rabbit. And they don't have to kill every bloody person that disagrees or mentions them. They just have to run a smear campaign through the media, threaten them with their job, all sorts of little ways they can pressurise people into getting them to do what they want to do or not want to do. Anyway, the idea is that I have had experience with them. I know just how deeply depraved they are. The average person just won't believe half the stuff they're up to. Well, I'm hoping that this little screencast will give you some cause for thinking about just how bad it might be. Anyway, the days are numbered. See you soon, evolving beings. Bye for now.